I put my first job out of business, after 8 years working there. Posted by East_Pianist 2731. If you like these stories and want to see more, please like and subscribe. Okay, so I lived in a relatively small city in North Carolina and started working at the young age of 14 as a dishwasher, soon working my way up through the restaurant over 2 years. Settle in because this is a long one, and I hope you all enjoy it. The original owner of the restaurant/bar, a 50-plus-year-old woman, had grown interested in selling the restaurant after 10 years of great reviews, and honestly, it became the best place in town to go to. A younger male walked in one day through the kitchen door. At the start, I thought he was a new employee. Finding out later that night, he was the one interested in buying the restaurant, and the sale went smoothly. Fast forward a year, and the new owner, let's call him Herb, denied the only time I had ever asked for a raise. The $7.50 an hour I started on was not a living wage. He told me I didn't work hard enough when I had gone as far as to wait on tables and cook, as well as many of the cleanup, maintenance, on top of my job of being their dishwasher. Thankfully for me at the time, my manager, who had listened through the office door, called him out on the bullcrap. She got me my raise. Nonetheless, a few months into it, Herb let several coolers which held meat break down and refused to fix them or get a new one. My nice manager couldn't take getting the backlash of always being blamed for things breaking down. Herb's the owner, and it was his money, he had to approve anything we did. So on the night we celebrated her 10-year anniversary of working there, she ate the cake my sister, and I made her. Then also proceeded to quit on the spot right after. The responsibility of management fell onto my sister, and she was forced to take the promotion with no raise or anything. She managed for 9 months, only to feel unheard. For any issue she brought up with equipment or workers, she would always be told, "No, we cannot do that," and after she had had enough trying to convince him on repairs, we were left without a manager for a period of time, and he was forced to drive the 3 hours to come and manage the restaurant himself. A few weeks after a new manager was hired, and another man was hired to be my help in the kitchen, and me being the head cook at this point in time, I taught him the ups and downs of the kitchen, and this man, he was kind and caring at first. But he kissed ass so much that I was overlooked for the kitchen manager position. The guy I loved to watch football with in the kitchen on my phone, using my speaker on the slow Sundays, changed into a brutal asshat. He would cuss at the waitresses and try to physically fight me on a daily. He and I were there to open the kitchen alone and would be joined by wait staff an hour later. He went as far as to buck up to try to fight one of the waitresses one day. When she mentioned, she had heard everything he said to me before she walked in, "I am done with your crap, you can either apologize, or you can get the frack out, Op has been here a lot longer than you, and you were trained by him, and yet you think you can disrespect him, hell no." As the man raised his hand to try to smack her, I punched him in his face and, in return got slammed into the already broken coolers. You do not hit a woman, ever. Fast forward a few months later, and after everyone sees this side of him, they realize I wasn't playing about him being a grade A dick. Many of us had tried to tell Herb about his actions but were met with, "It can't be that bad. He's so nice." Finally, after not being heard or listened to for so long, I began planning how to quit. I had it all planned out, and when we had the meeting, I walked in a suit, already having found a place with, at that time my fiancée, and a new job far from home. Everyone knew I was overdressed and had questions, and I filled them in on the walkout plan, yet the mean manager was nowhere in sight. After enjoying the meeting and being called on for my opinions on how to boost sales and better the restaurant, I looked at Herb and answered sarcastically, "Oh me? Now you want to hear what I have to say?" Getting in a serious tone now, I stand up, and told him why would I help a business, much less the owner of this business, better themselves when I have been blown off for months. Anything I had to tell you, I was bullied for months, and when I mentioned it, I was brushed off. Have a great fracking day, Herb. Because you quite literally don't have a cook now. Today is moving day, and I'm moving over 4 hours away, to a better job, one with an owner who will listen and respect their workers, and not force us to try and cook green, slimy chicken past its expiration date. I quit. He begged for me to stay because he had finally fired the mean manager. He said, "Is there any possible way I can get you to stay?" I looked at him and repeated the words he always told us when we mentioned equipment needed to be repaired or replaced, in his exact customer support accent. "No, we can't do that." As I walked out, he followed, begging me to stay, and said he finally did what was needed of him. I simply told him too little, way too late, and proceeded to walk out, and what followed was all the coworkers on my side stood up and left too. This is not where it ends. He had purposefully not given me my W-2 forms for taxes, and after a few days of harassing him for my tax papers, I got them. Then, I received a letter from the IRS saying there was a problem with my tax forms. Therefore I couldn't receive my tax refund. Calling up the IRS, I found he had not submitted any of the forms he was supposed to as our employer, and when contacting him to rectify the situation, he proceeded to say, I don't recall employing any of you this year. After all, you all left with no reason or right." Little did he know I record every conversation on my phone, and I reported him to the IRS. Attached to the email, I sent in the voice recording in an MP3 format, and I also sent in photocopies of my check stubs and copies of my W-2s, along with informing my coworkers we're having issues with their taxes to do the same. Herb has since lost his business license, his wife left him and took their kids after finding out about his fraud. Herb is now facing upwards to 60 years in prison now for multiple counts of tax fraud, and it turns out we were not the only business he owned and refused to pay taxes or file the correct tax forms when needed. He had withheld the safety precaution paid during the Rona and used all of it to fix the restaurant. He fracked up, and I get to sit back happily typing this with a smile, knowing this dickhead got what was coming to him. For all of you wondering whether I ever got my taxes and my money, yes, I finally did as of yesterday. Thanks for listening to my life story, guys. And now for the top comments. You did the right thing, having evidence made copies of your payslips, and contacted the IRS. Once the IRS is involved, it's game over. So many restaurant owners are crap. Nice. He got what he deserved. No one like that deserves to own any business. And not gonna lie, I've already made my own plans just in case the owner of where I work gets too sour since he doesn't realize that his restaurant is in my hometown. I could ruin the place if I wanted. It's a small town, so word spreads fast. But I love the work and the people, so I likely won't ever do it. But reading this reminded me of a discussion I heard the owner had with my boss, the head chef. And the grill we have has basically been broken since he started there 3 years ago, and the owner doesn't want to replace it, or most of the other broken things in the place that my boss has done his best to work with and maintain, but he can only do so much. He's mentioned selling things that aren't needed, like this self-cooking center, and the owner literally said that he likes the machine so doesn't see a reason to get rid of it. All I could think was that the chef doesn't like it and he should listen to him instead of arguing and not wanting to do it, because, at the end of the day, his opinion of the tools in the kitchen are irrelevant because he's not the one who has to use them every day, and if the chef gets what he is asking for, he can do different, better meals. The food there is already amazing, but just cause chef is such a good cook, and can make the food faster with fewer problems and make the owner even more money, so he won't have to convince the customers to stock up on as much wine as he can talk them into. But I'm just not a huge fan of the owner. I mean, he's a lovely guy, really great to work for. I just can't work alongside him cause when he is in service, it slows down to a crawl, food getting cold, food stocking up so much that neither of the two cooks can cook any more food because we only have one food station to sit the food and keep it warm. But I've had dumber, far worse bosses. And now for our next story. Assistant from Hell, posted by Johan Dragonhart. Let me preface this by saying that I'm still going through some mental issues because of what happened in this story. Background: I was born with cataracts that later became glaucoma when I turned 5. After some years, something happened that caused me to lose all vision in my left eye. This meant that I needed an assistant for the rest of my education. Now that you're all informed. The story: when I was starting middle school, my parents found an assistant to help me with moving around my school. I'll call her Ella for simplicity's sake, anyway. Ella was friendly to my parents and me, so they didn't have to worry. Ella did her job, and she was very friendly with me. And then it began. One day Ella didn't come to school. She called my dad saying that she got in an accident on the road. It was fine, and she got in an accident. It wasn't her fault. I spent the first 2 weeks of school trying my damnedest to explain why I couldn't write the work and give a convincing argument and walk around without bumping into every wall in person. On top of that, Ella became more and more hostile as the months went by. She then began telling me awful things about my appearance, my personality, and she even talked crap about my parents to other teachers who were just as scummy as her. The only reason why I didn't say anything was that she made me think that doing so would get me expelled. Me being a stupid 13-year-old, I believed her. Needless to say, I was miserable. The straw that broke the camel's back was the day where she was so angry that she slapped me. I was done. The revenge. I told my dad about everything, the absences, the slander, everything. When I told him, he went absolutely apecrap, and we went straight to the principal. After telling her everything that happened, we found out that Ella was present to write herself up as a present, but she never arrived to help me. We also found out that she had faked most of her reasons for absence. After a long investigation that took 2 years to actually prove, we took Ella to court. I only had to testify every single detail of what she did and what she said. Long story short, we won that case, and Ella went to prison for 3 years. Afterwards, I got out of what Ella did too. My family had heard that her friends and family basically disowned her. She also lost the remaining custody of her kids, which went directly to her ex-husband, who works as a vendor that passes by my school. Ella became forgotten garbage. It's been almost a whole year since Ella went to prison. But I sometimes still hear all the terrible things she said. Thanks to her, I'm scared to make decisions because I can't get her words out of my mind. I'm going to start school soon, and maybe I'll finally get that demon woman out of my head. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. Honestly, I thought that this was going to get ignored. At the time of writing this, I'm going to start my second year of high school. I'm just happy that even strangers on the internet are willing to say such nice things. Thank you all for the support. Edit 2.0. Oh my god, thank you for the silver. I've noticed some comments confused about my condition. I'll clarify. To be perfectly honest, I don't really know how it happened. I don't remember since it was a long time, at least for me. After Ella stopped being nice is when I started seriously learning how to use a cane for blind people. And now for the top comments. Dude, seriously, if you go to my school, tell me I will give you a fracking hug, man. I'm glad you at least got back at her and exposed her for what she was. I don't know you, but I bet you're 10x's the person Ella is. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need help. She deserved it. I hope you get better, kid. Sending love from Spain. What's your say on this? Do you have a similar story? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.